I see it as highly improbable that we can get to the media. And if we can get to the media, what you're supposed to do when you leave here is call universities and say, I'd like you to present the Venus Project. I've heard the military people. Now I'd like to hear the average Japanese person on the air and other people, other than military people. All you got in the States on NBC, CBS is military people and politicians. You don't have sociologists, social scientists talking against the war. They don't get on the air.
Or talk to other people about it. You know, the more people we have who know about it, the better it'll be.
Press radio stations, tell them put the Venus Project.
Because you never know who you run across or who you meet. It just takes one person to get certain things done.
The most important thing is to get to the wealthy people and say you will live better than you live today. We can assert that, yes.
Yeah.
I know.
You can't take addendum and just bring it over here because Japanese people don't really care about Christianity or the Fed or all of that.
Let's say this, they don't know how to.
Well, okay.
Let me tell you what the British did, so you might be interested in this. They were fighting hundreds of nomads on the desert, Arabs, and this is World War I. They flew one airplane and projected an image of Mohammed on the clouds. And the Arabs laid down on the clouds with their guns and all, and they took over. Now it's easy today with stereoscopic movies to have Jesus ascend on the clouds. If you know how, I know how to do that. You don't understand what I'm talking about? Clouds, you can project long-range projectors, you can project airplanes, anything you want up there. Now, people are ignorant. People are malleable today. They're not sharp. Oh, a few technicians will know what's happening. But if you want to control the majority of people, they're always controlled. When first says, doesn't your system control people? Yes, it does. But all systems do. When you have a boy, you tell him he's a Frenchman. This is France. Look at the Eiffel Tower. That's a symbol of France. In Germany, you are German and proud of it. Every country controls people.
It's about Zeitgeist Addendum. It might be a Peter Joseph's research, but at the last part of the movie it says he mentions J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, and several other banks. Why specific to that bank? Like you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he found that they were particularly more corrupt than others and had more holdings in a lot of things and they did more disaster than others. But, you know, especially Bank of America and
They're turning into the usual suspects nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what 2008. You look at it now.
Oh, with banking, that he talked about the banking system.
Yes. He mentioned
the particular banks. Yeah,
I was wondering why not.
Well, I'd only be projecting. I'd have to ask them. But those particular banks were such big conglomerates and backed a lot of things.
Yeah, I was 9:22 right now, so we're gonna have to
To the airport.
Huh?
Oh,
there.
Well,
Yeah,
I
well,
think
I'm
they're the
thinking.
only
Yeah, so you don't. He just mentioned a timing. It's 9:22. What would you like to do? You wanna? It was gonna be from 7 to 9. You're just no. They don't have to catch the flight today. Tomorrow.
I see. Oh,
Tomorrow.
okay.
Yeah, tomorrow.
That's pretty late for me.
Midnight flight.
Yeah.
Lucky.
It's either
Well, it depends on. I mean, Jack's doing a lot of work. Do you want to take it easy now, or what?
Yeah, now a few more questions we have.
Okay.
Let's try to.
Well, this is very exciting.
He wants to know why PJ selected particular banks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because he could have just mentioned banks.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
When we went to war, there was a bank in America very successful called the Bank of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to war, then they changed the name to Bank of America. It's a good idea, isn't it? Okay. That was the Bank of America. We used to be the Bank of Italy. So the United Bank of Christ would get a lot of people to put their money in that bank because they feel they'd be less corrupt. But if you can name a bank, the People's Bank that care for people, you know? That's what people say. Yeah, what's your sign? And some people say to me, when were you born? I say, February the 8th, of course, you're this or that. And they go on and tell me why. I said, I was wrong. It's June the 3rd. Oh, of course. They should be able to tell you when you were born by your values. It should work the opposite way too. Time is in aviation, social change. Well, they say you were born in May, if it's a science. It should work both ways. But every time I give them a wrong date, they proceed to tell me, of course, you were born that way. You know.
Chuck, I know you've covered this a number of times, but since like the day I saw the Zeitgeist Addendum, I've been pretty much talking to everybody, my family, my friends, any stranger that I can get to listen to me about the Venus Project. And I always get two questions, and you've covered this already, but just kind of like an expansion. The one kind of is, we'll never be alive to see this. That's one. Number two is, what about the holdouts? Now, you've covered this, the holdouts, like, okay, I know the idea. Yeah, well, I mean, but a little bit deeper is the idea of the resource-based economy. Step one is to take an inventory, and in that inventory, we might find certain areas that have a very needed resource. And this is, I know, a bunch of supposing, but suppose there's a group that is on that resource that are holdouts. And many people say, oh, well, it will definitely turn to violence. It always turns to violence when about the scarcity thing. How do I answer that?
Well, you know, Dubai, 10 years ago was a desert. Now it's a big city. And they're being bailed out by Saudi Arabia. See, the trouble is now all over the world, Greece, France, they're having trouble all over England, and it's getting worse in America. So it doesn't seem to be, well, this area seems to be doing all right, but they have their turn. It's just going to happen here too. And China is not exporting as much as it did. And so it's going to affect all the nations. Now's the best time for introducing that. If it gets terrible, it's going to be more difficult. The transition will be more difficult.
Let's say there's like, I don't know, some indigenous Amazon Indian tribe that won't leave their
we don't
area.
go to them
But
until
what if they have a certain resource that is needed?
Well, we would go over and say to them, what is your complaints? What do you need? And they say, well, there was bad hunting. We'd show them and give them things like a cell phone. They'd appreciate that, by the way.
Again, but like
we'd give them whatever they need to make life better, and then ask them if they want to join with us on everything. They'll say no, but their kids, in order to maintain the cell phones, would have to study electronics.
Okay, so time and patience.
And yes, we don't kill people. We know that it takes time, and that whatever time it takes, but there'll be people in society, like the advertising people, that understand the grammar of motives. And they will advise us in different areas of better approaches. More work will be done in the study of transition, how to transition people with the minimum pain. And if he comes up with a wrong idea, it won't work. If he comes with the right idea, it'll work. What determines which direction we take is how well the system works, not Fresco's ideas. Fresco may be obsolete in 2 weeks from now. And if somebody comes up with something better than nanotechnology, geez, a lot of things will be wiped out. Today you can be wiped out very fast by innovation. And if a country doesn't spend money on innovation, they will be bypassed by those that do.